Okay, well, welcome back to Exhaust Sports Auto. My name is Kevin, and you are here to see this 2021 Mazda CX-30 buyer's guide video. So why am I doing this? Well, it's because nobody really watches my POV videos, so throw that in the garbage. And I decided to do something a little bit different to maybe help out some of the consumers, because this is a video where I'm going to be talking about kind of the different trim levels and which trim levels I find to be the best bang for the buck, maybe potentially what to look out for either on a finance or on a lease, something like that. First thing you have to understand with the CX-30, and I guess Mazda in general, well, you have to know why you're interested in the Mazda and why you're looking at this vehicle and what the strengths and the weaknesses are with the Mazda kind of portfolio of vehicles, essentially, right? So the main reason why you are looking into a Mazda, or why you should be looking into a Mazda, is because, well, you probably already heard this from all the other journalists, but it's because they are typically considered to be best in class. They are best in class because they are usually the most refined, they usually ride the best, and they actually have the best interiors in the class. That is not to be disputed at all. This interior makes all other vehicles' interiors look like a Motel 6 bathroom. That's how good this vehicle is. And now with 2021, okay, the main new things you're going to be getting here are standard Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. That's going to be standard even on the base trim level, so that's a pretty big difference right there. Also, the addition of this turbo model, which I have already done a full review on. So I'll leave a link down to the 3 reviews that I've already done on the CX-30 on this turbo and the 2 non-turbo models I already did. So you can watch those after you watch this video. Okay, this turbo edition has basically made it the fastest in its class. Okay, I think 0 to 60 is about 5.8 seconds, but understand this, that 5.8 seconds 0 to 60, that's not why you should be interested in Mazda or in vehicles in general. Actually, these numbers translate into nothing in terms of a driving feel. The driving feel that Mazda tries to deliver to you is one that reduces your blood pressure. That speed is a calm speed, okay? It just surges off, okay? I've been foot to the floor in this vehicle, and that's not really the correct way you should be driving it. You should just ease into the throttle and feel that turbo power kind of like gushing through, basically. It's a very torque, it's like a torque monster, basically, okay? It's got 320 pounds-feet of torque with premium fuel, 250 horsepower, again, on premium fuel. You can't put regular into these vehicles, and you will be getting 227 horsepower and 310 pounds-feet of torque, okay? So that's great. But understand, this is supposed to be like a luxury car experience, except minus the brand cachet. I don't know what Mazda is trying to pull off here. Maybe they are trying to go up market. Well, they're trying to go up market, but I don't know what they're going to do about their brand cachet, because, you know, whether they know it or not, or whether they want to admit it or not, Mazda is a very humble company. Okay, this is still a subcompact SUV. The price reflects that. Okay, it competes with things like the Hyundai Kona, that little Toyota CHR thing, you know, that's what this thing competes with, not necessarily BMWs and Benzes. However, the way this car feels to drive, the way it's screwed together, the way this interior is laid out, it's more so to compete with like an Audi, a BMW, or a Benz. And that's why people continue to say that these vehicles hit above its weight class, and why these cars continue to be best in class. Okay, so now that you understand that, let's move on to some other things. Okay, trim levels. You decided you want a Mazda. Okay, the 2 trim levels that I really recommend with the CX-30 is the Select trim, which is one above the base model. And if you want a Mazda CX-30 Turbo, get the premium trim, okay? So let me explain myself. Starting price of a CX-30 is about $22,000, okay? The base model, it's got some good things going on, like it's gonna have the smallest wheels on it, okay? It's gonna have 16-inch wheels and 215 wide tires on it. So what that's gonna mean is it's gonna be the best riding CX-30. However, I don't really think that's necessary. I think if you move up to the Select trim, you'll also get 18-inch wheels, and this vehicle also has 18s, and it rides beautifully, okay, this test car right here. So ride quality is phenomenal. The torsion beam rear suspension, it should not deter people. This thing handles and rides better than most cars that utilize a multi-link. So well-engineered vehicle, don't worry about that. So you go with the Select trim, you're going to get those 18-inch wheels, and let's be honest, they kind of look better as well. you're going to be getting leatherette seats as opposed to the cloth seats, which I have nothing against the cloth seats, but you know, leatherette seats, I guess it's a little bit nicer, a little bit easier to clean, I suppose, right? You are also going to be getting some rear HVAC with the Select trim. And the Select trim is also where you are able to pay up for better color options, like this Soul Red Metallic. Okay, it's a $595 option. I will say this is one of the best paint jobs I have ever seen on like a normal car that doesn't cost over $50,000. Honestly, I would compare this paint quality to like the infrared that Lexus uses on the LC500s. They look very similar actually. So that's pretty big praise right there. So if you want to pay up for that, well, there you go. You can do that with the Select trim. And you can add all-wheel drive to any of these vehicles, okay? Any of these trims. So all-wheel drive is going to cost you about $1,400. That's going to be up to you. However, the biggest advantage when you go with a naturally aspirated four-cylinder is when you don't select the all-wheel drive. So you're going to be saving $1,400, and the Select trim is going to cost you about $24,000 just as is, right? So it's about a $2,000 premium over the base model, and again, I do think that's worth it. But when you skip out on the $1,400 all-wheel drive option, you're also getting a larger fuel tank with these vehicles. So you're going to be getting like a 13.5 gallon fuel tank versus a 12.7 gallon fuel tank when you go with the all-wheel drive in. The thing is, your MPGs are going to go up a little bit when you skip out on the all-wheel drive, but also when you just go with the naturally aspirated four-cylinder model, you are going to be getting better fuel economy anyways. I'll touch on that later, but that's a trim I recommend. Now, there's two other trims that you can still get that's above the Select that'll still keep you within the naturally aspirated four-cylinder. There's a preferred trim, and then there's like the premium trim. The preferred trim is kind of a waste. I mean, you get like heated seats and like the moonroof. That's what you basically get with the preferred. And the premium is something to look into. That's going to cost you about $28,000. A non-turbo four-cylinder without all-wheel drive. That's going to be $28,000. This is where you get the Bose audio system. Now, the Bose audio system is worth it, okay? Otherwise, you get an 8-speaker unit, which sounds okay, but the Bose is really a nice system. If you want it, pay the $28,000, but for the most part, the other option that you have to go with is $32,000 and getting a turbo premium option, okay? I would not get the Turbo Premium Plus. It's just not worth it. All you're really going to get is garage home link, basically, like the 3 buttons that you see here under the mirror. Get the premium, and then the thing with a $32,000 premium turbo model is you're going to be getting the Bose audio system, but also all-wheel drive comes as standard with the turbo models, all of them, even the base turbo, which starts at about $30,000. So when you pay $32,000, you don't really have to tick off any other options. You're just going to be paying $32,000, and obviously taxes and fees as well. And that's about a $8,000 delta between a $24,000 Select trim four-cylinder that I recommend and a $32,000 premium turbo model. Okay, so up to you if you want to pay that, and that delta decreases to $6,000 if you get a all-wheel drive version of the Select trim CX-30 Mazda. Okay, so up to you how much you want to pay and what you want to do here. I'll briefly talk about turbo versus non-turbo CX-30s. Okay. Real world fuel economy with a turbo modeled Mazda is not going to be that great if you are a aggressive driver like I am. Okay, I average about 17 or 18 mpg in these turbo model Mazdas because I am just foot to the floor. I'm a journalist, I need to test these vehicles, but Mazda claims that you can get 22 mpgs. Now, that's probably possible if you drive it the way Mazda intends you to drive, but just keep in mind if you're an aggressive driver, your mpgs are going to hurt. Now, with a non-turbo model, even if you drive foot to the floor, your mpgs are going to be much better, okay? Naturally aspirated motors, you can drive them harder than turbo models and just naturally get better fuel economy. That's just the way it works. So with a larger fuel tank, when you get the front wheel drive, with the better real world fuel economy, it just makes sense going with a four-cylinder for most people that's not a turbo. It's cheaper to buy, it's cheaper to, you know, upkeep in the long run because, you know, your fuel economy is better, right? And me personally, I just think the regular four-cylinder is plenty of power. 186 horsepower and 186 pounds-feet of torque. I think it's plenty to move this 3,200 pound, I think it's 3,234 pounds for a front-wheel drive non-turbo CX-30. And that weight figure goes up to about 3,384 pounds, I believe, if you get the all-wheel drive. Turbo models of the CX-30, because they just come with the all-wheel drive, it's going to be about 3,500 pounds. So it's a very lightweight vehicle. It's a good amount of power to be having in this vehicle, right? Whether you go turbo or not, so that's nice. But again, test drive these vehicles for yourself, see if you need them. The turbo model will give you effortless passing power even on the highway. Something to keep in mind. It's a nice luxury to have. It really does complement Mazda's kind of driving demeanor, essentially. And there's no slip, there's no issues driving the turbo. It puts down the power pretty nicely. Now, talking about financing and leasing, so obviously the less money you pay, the less you're going to be paying on a finance, obviously. So that's why I recommend the 4-cylinder select option, basically. And if you're leasing, maybe try to get the top level trim that you can possibly get, right? You know, Capital Mazda of Cary is the local Mazda dealership for me, and they advertise CX-30 leases to be about $189 a month with $3,800 down. Never put money down on a lease if you have good credit. So what I did instead was I took the $3,800 divided by 36 months for the lease term, and basically that equates to about $295 a month for a CX-30. I believe it's probably for like a select trim, most likely. I think you can do better than that if you negotiate, like maybe get around $250. I don't really know. You would have to see for yourself, but this is just the number I saw quoted on Capital Mazda's website. But negotiate, see what you can get. You know, on average, I've seen about $1,200 discounts on Capital Mazda of Cary, North Carolina's website. So something to keep in mind when you're negotiating. That's about the average. Maybe you can squeeze more out of a dealership. I don't know. And I'm sure you can get a 0% finance rate, but it's just like, you know, typically when you do a 0% finance on a new vehicle at a dealership, they're not going to give you any of the incentives. Like, they might give you 0%, but they might not give you that $1,200 dealer discount. You see what I'm saying? So try to negotiate that discount as well as the 0% if you can. See what you can do there. Again, I'm just trying to give you some rough numbers, just, you know, help you out basically. And other things to consider. Well, within Mazda themselves, there's a lot of competition. So the CX-5 namely, and the Mazda 3 hatchback. So Mazdas are not really the largest vehicles. They're more so on the petite side, and that's fine for me. And that's actually what helps it drive so well, basically, because it's a little bit smaller. And if you need a larger vehicle, honestly, the CX-5, it's only a few grand more, like $1,000 or $2,000 more. So if you need a larger vehicle, you can go with the CX-5. But also, if you're more so of a driving enthusiast, you can get the Mazda 3 hatchback. So the Mazda 3 hatchback, you know, I already did a review on it. I love the way that thing looks and drives, obviously. That's more so going to be my choice if I'm going to be shopping in this class, because you can also get the Mazda 3 with all-wheel drive. This is a very capable all-wheel drive system, mind you. The thing with the CX-30 is maybe you live in the city and you just want a smaller vehicle because it just helps you out, basically. You know, it's just easier to drive. And the CX-30 offers a higher kind of seating position than the Mazda 3s, so it's kind of easier to get in and out of. You know, you can just kind of slide your tush in and out. So maybe if you're a little bit elderly, that might help you out essentially. But the Mazda 3 and the CX-5, these are the other two high-quality premium options that you can kind of compare the CX-30 with. If the size of these vehicles work out, I know for a fact the CX-5 should be able to accommodate most families, like 99% of people. Otherwise, maybe just look into getting a U-Haul truck instead. I don't know what to tell you. But these are all great vehicles, and I like for 2021 that all these turbo model Mazdas, they have like this nice eagerness to it. You know, you get on that throttle, it really gets up and goes. I really appreciate that. So I love driving these vehicles. These are easily best in class vehicles in my opinion. Let me know in the comment sections, you know, if there's anything that I didn't really answer for you guys, let me know. I'll try to answer them for you in the comments. If you're an owner of this vehicle, leave your thoughts below as well. Please tell us how it's treating you. And with that, thanks again for watching. Take care and goodbye.